time in Milwaukee. The Creators with a 6.5 game lead on Chicago for first in the NL Central. Though the Cubs are playing better baseball. They've won 4 in a row and 10 of 13 coming into Milwaukee. The Brewers going to send Jacob Mizorowski to the bump. He's been dominant this year, going 8-3 with a 1.45 ERA. He's allowed 3 earned runs in his last 9 starts combined. The Cubs going with Colin Ray. He's 5-5 with a 4.99 ERA. Chicago has lost his last 4 starts, 7 of his last 8. First pitch is set for 6:45. Turning to the Bucks, there's a lot of new in Milwaukee with new coach Taylor Jenkins and lottery picks Braden Berries and Nate Ahmet getting the best out of the new players. The organization's job, says GM John Horst.
How they're utilized on the basketball floor, how they grow and develop physically, their game, emotionally, mentally, all those things. That's all of our efforts and our opportunities, and use the resources we have to do that to maximize that. But they fit as people. I think you can see this energy here already. There's a consistent theme in what we've targeted, the competitiveness, the character, the IQ of an athlete.
The duo likely going to be on the court for the first time together during Summer League in Las Vegas next month.
Everyone should feel confident about their path forward. Exact Sciences has teamed up with UW Athletics to help promote eradicating cancer by preventing it, detecting it earlier, and guiding personalized treatment. The Exact Sciences Athletes Program is unique as it connects UW student athletes with Exact Sciences' work to provide breakthroughs in cancer care and treatment. Exact Sciences and UW Athletics helping raise cancer awareness to make a difference in the Madison community. Learn more at exactsciences.com.
Well, the U.S. men's national team going to face Bosnia and Herzegovina in the round of 32 at the World Cup next week. That game going to be played next Wednesday in Santa Clara. The U.S. finished top of their group despite falling to Turkey last night. With this Wisconsin Sports Zone Network update, I'm Zach Heilprin.
Other than Steph Curry, Giannis to Milwaukee was the single most significant player to an organization in the NBA, given that LeBron is no longer in Cleveland. In 2014-15, there was a provision in the sale of the team that said if they could not get financing for a new stadium, the league could buy the Bucks and they were going to move the Milwaukee Bucks out of Milwaukee. And Giannis saved professional basketball in the city of Milwaukee. Every Bucks fan will refer to the Fiserv Forum as the house that Giannis built. He's a 2-time MVP. He's one of 3 guys ever to win MVP and Defensive Player of the Year in the same year. He scores 50 in a closeout game in the building that he helped finance. He is the most important player in the history of that franchise and that city. So I do think it is sad and that he is leaving Milwaukee. I was hoping that he was going to be Duncan or Dirk or Kobe and play for one team for forever. And on an emotional level, I do think Giannis is going to regret this.
Danny Parkins gets us into the show tonight. Happy Friday. Fins up. I just kind of like this. I did this last week. I just want to start with the Jimmy Buffett. Why not? Hope you're having a great Friday. Your week is coming to a nice conclusion. I don't know where the rumor started if I wasn't abundantly clear yesterday. Did I make it sound like I would be off tonight? Well, Grant, we just assumed because you're never here on Friday. That's not true. Here and there. But during Bill's show, I saw people in the cheap seats. There's nothing like the view from the cheap seats. Saying that there wouldn't be a show tonight. We were a live show. It's Brewers Cubs this weekend. There's too much going on to not have a show. Sam Olbur, Locked On Cubs, going to be here at 5 o'clock. We'll preview the weekend series and just talk a little baseball in general. One of my favorite guests to have on. But no, we got a live show. The rumors were not, I don't know where that was coming from. If I said something misleading last week. It's the Wisco Sports Show. My name is Grant Bills. Happy to have you here. The show streams always. It's so easy, folks. The Wisco Sports Zone app. It's so slick. You can listen to Ebo in the morning. And next week, a real treat. Now, I love Ebo. Over the Line is my favorite, the only morning show I listen to. Ebo's on vacation. Celebrating his anniversary with his lovely wife. Zach will be in next week. And I love a little bonus Zach Heilprin. I'll be helping out, maybe doing an hour or two with Zach every morning, just to kind of help fill 4 hours. It's a long show for Zach to do by himself. And he can, but it's just a long time. So I'll be filling in a little bit with Zach next week. That'll be a really good time. So if you're a Zach Heilprin enjoyer, I know many of you are because you listen to The Camp, the Badgers podcast that he does with Zach. That's also available on that app. I want to make sure to be ready for that next week. And of course, you can watch Bill's live stream. You can watch this live stream and listen anytime, anywhere, and all the podcasts on our network. So just download the app, would you? How many times do I need to tell you? The Wisco Sports app, wherever you get your apps. You can call the show. It's Free Phones Friday, so call me with whatever you want. 608, and folks, I do mean whatever. 608-321-1670. Didn't we talk about Garth Brooks conspiracies last Friday? I think, or was that this week? I think it was Friday. So we got a little off the rails on Friday. That's what Fridays are for. 608-321-1670. I'll come to you first segment if you have something to add. I want to start with a Giannis Antetokounmpo take. We've spent a lot of time discussing the trade, what the Bucks got back, the basketball machinations of this trade. I want to talk about, as you may have guessed from that cut that I played to begin the show from Danny Parkins, talking about Giannis leaving Milwaukee, how it's sad, how Giannis will regret it. I don't know if he will regret it because I don't know how Giannis feels about anything. That's completely and totally subjective to him. Maybe he goes to Miami. They never make the playoffs. And he's like, hey, I went to Miami. I tried something new. I don't regret it. That's fine. I would appreciate that perspective. I think sometimes in life, you got to go places and you got to do things. And you can't live in fear of regretting whether or not they'll work out or whether or not you'll miss the old thing or the old place where you worked or where you lived. I want to talk about the human side of this a little bit. New story out at ESPN today from Jamal Collier, who covers the team. Not as much constant coverage and not as much reporting as, Eric Name or Jim Ozarski or, Steve McGargy is omnipresent. He's in every press conference I've ever listened to, but Jamal will have some good things every once in a while. And he had a nice long story at ESPN today about the exit. And it was a lot from the perspective of John Horst. You got a little bit of a POV into how the Milwaukee Bucks, the front office, the literal Milwaukee Bucks, the decision makers in the front office handled this, and a little bit from the Heat side too. Not as much on the drama in the organization and the kind of bumps and issues they had over the years. Jim covered that pretty extensively earlier this week. But one thing that this story made clear to me, I don't even know if this is new, but I was reading Jamal today. This is what he wrote, and I'm going to read this for you. I don't think any of this is brand new. It just kind of outlined things in a way that got me thinking. He wrote this. After losing in the first round of the 2025 playoffs, the third consecutive season in which they were bounced in the opening round, Milwaukee made its Hail Mary, stretching the contract of Dame Lillard and signing Miles Turner. Later that summer, Antetokounmpo and his reps expressed to Bucks management their concerns over the roster and asked the team to explore a trade to New York. The talks stalled. Now, this was reported. It wasn't like, I don't want to say it wasn't rock solid. It was never reported that he requested a trade. But Windhorst and others used every other word to describe what happened. He asked the Bucks to explore. He went to the Bucks with concerns. He wanted to be a Knick. Like they reported and shared all these things last summer, but they always stopped short, to my memory, of saying he requested a trade. Windhorst might have said it once, but he kind of backed off of it. Maybe I'm just trying to speculate and have fun with it and try to figure out what may have been happening. I wouldn't be shocked if Giannis and his camp wanted to be traded, wanted to go to the Knicks. I believe all of that. Why would I not? But I'm kind of maybe guessing that Giannis and his camp stopped short of telling the entire world, we've requested a trade. They wanted to be traded, wanted to go to New York, wasn't happy with the roster. But I don't think they wanted it out there that Giannis was requesting a trade, because it was never really reported like that. It was reported, but it wasn't reported like that, which leads me to think that maybe Giannis and his camp were trying to do some cosmetics, right? Anyways, the talk stalled between the Bucks and the Knicks, which we knew. Antetokounmpo began the season with the Bucks, but missed 14 of the team's first 31 games, and the Bucks were under 500 by December. It was then that Antetokounmpo and his agent privately reiterated to Horst again that the team was not good enough, and it was time for both sides to move on. But the Bucks believed they could turn around the season when their star got healthy. He never did, and the losses continued to pile up ahead of the trade deadline in February, forcing the Bucks to engage in trade discussions for the first time. This has been reported. We've known. Again, I don't think any of this is brand new. It's just laid out in a way that got me going here. During those negotiations, Bucks team sources insists they were upfront with teams that they were unlikely to deal their franchise star unless they were blown away. Ultimately, they weren't, and chose to wait until the offseason, betting that more teams would join the bidding and offers would strengthen. After the deadline passed, and despite wanting to be traded, Antetokounmpo then riled up the Bucks fan base by posting a clip from The Wolf of Wall Street in which Leonardo DiCaprio's character says that despite public pressure, he wouldn't be leaving. Any idea of salvaging the relationship deteriorated shortly thereafter. Antetokounmpo played his final game with the franchise March 15th, and the two sides engaged in a public dispute over whether he was healthy enough to play. Throughout, but especially during the second half of the season, Antetokounmpo often lamented the erosion of the team's culture and discipline. After the season, Turner went public with the team's habits and lack of accountability and noted how Giannis took advantage. Wrote then next about the being late for playing stuff. I'm not going to read that. We know that. After the Bucks' season-ending loss to the 76ers in April, by which point they'd been eliminated, Antetokounmpo was asked if he had played his last game in a Bucks uniform. That's a very good question, he said at the time. I don't know. It's not up to me. By then, both sides knew the answer. The only unresolved question was which uniform he'd play in next. So I want to go back to the deadline, and there's two things I want to point to because I'm just wondering here. Something's not square in my mind. Something isn't completely lining up. So the trade deadline was what day again? When was the NBA trade deadline? I'm going to Google this because I want the timeline, folks. I'm sorry. NBA trade deadline 2026. February 5th. Okay. So we have that down. So Giannis wanted to be traded in the offseason, although stopped short of fully publicly saying, I request a trade. Wanted to go to the Knicks. Talk stalled. The Bucks got him to come back to start the year. He got hurt. The team wasn't very good, and he kept saying, I would like to leave. I would like to leave. It's time. It's time. It's time. It's time. He wants out. He wants out. He wants out. He wants out. Okay. You get to the trade deadline, which was February 5th. They listen to offers. They're not blown away. So he's not traded. Okay. Why did he tweet that video? Why did he tweet the Wolf of Wall Street video? And he said, legends don't chase, they attract. Giannis, by this point, had asked out multiple times and knew that if not at the deadline, this was his last year in Milwaukee. He knew this. They knew this. Why was he so insistent on dressing it up? Because if he's not dealt at the trade deadline, okay, but you're getting dealt in the summer. So why then are you putting out messaging? Why are you telling Lori Nickel and Jimmo, look, I'll stay if they build around me? Why are you tweeting things like legends don't chase, they attract? Why are you tweeting, I'm not leaving, even though you know you're leaving and you know that you are chasing? You're going to Miami. Things that I don't entirely hold against him, feel how you want. But if you know you're leaving and you've been trying to leave, why are you tweeting about how you're not leaving? One of two things has to be true, or maybe both of these things are true. Either Giannis is kind of dumb, or Giannis thinks we are dumb, or maybe both. I don't understand the incessant appeal to I'm the loyal guy, even though he was actively trying to leave and he knew he would be gone this summer. I just don't understand it. And by the way, this is just a me thing. Giannis still hasn't posted anything in the form of a thank you to Milwaukee. Now, Gold Grant, the trade's not official yet. It doesn't become official, I believe, until July 6th. And when it happens, of course, he will post something and as players do, give a long, heartfelt, Milwaukee, you were my first home in America. You gave me my start. You drafted me, all these things. He'll probably post all that. So, yeah, Grant, the trade's not official. He'll do it when the trade's official. But it's not official, and the Bucks are introducing Nate Ament. He's having a press conference, and Giannis is going out with Bam, and he's being seen publicly in Miami. I'm not really holding Giannis's decision to leave against him. He can handle it however he wants. I guess I'm a little confused as to why he's handled it the way that he's handled it so far. I just don't get it. Either he's kind of dumb or he thinks we're dumb. Like, oh, yeah, tweet out the Wolf of Wall Street video. Those idiots will eat it up. They'll think I'm loyal. I'm leaving in 3 months. Why? You knew you were leaving. I just don't get it. Just a question. Just something I was thinking about today after reading Jamal Collier's story that he laid it out so chronologically. It's like at every point here, Giannis knew he was out, but he kept putting out public messaging that he wasn't. Why? Dig up, stupid. Don't further dig in your, well, I'll stay if they build. Hey, legends don't chase, they attract. I don't get it. We got time for a couple calls here in the first segment. It's a Free Phones Friday, 608-321-1670, Wisco Sports Show. Who's this?
Alex and Madison.
Hey, Alex, what do you think on this? or whatever
Hey.
you want to talk about. I don't.
Well, I got two little things, and one of them is about Giannis. And I was gonna mention the whole he hasn't posted anything about his farewell at all. And just a few hours ago, he got a new sponsorship. Did you see that?
I did not. What happened?
Okay, well, his first post since being traded was a ad for Trojan.
Okay, was it really?
Right. Yeah. So I'm kind of like, what is going on here? I mean, they took a flyer on you, this city. You've been here for 13 years, and like you said, yes, it's not in the books, but we're introducing our guys. So I don't know what he's doing. Something weird happened, or he changed. Maybe he wasn't who I thought he was. But the past year, like maybe he thinks we're idiots, like you said. But it's really weird. I fully agree on that.
What's your other thing before I let you go, Alex? You said you had two things.
Yeah, well, it's a beautiful day, beautiful weekend. You ever had some Kringle, Grant?
Some Kringle?
Yes. Have you ever had that? It's a dessert.
Yeah, from Racine. Shout out Mad Max. Yeah.
Yep. Oh, yep. Well, I got some family in Racine. I'm going to drive down there shortly, get plenty of Kringle flavors, O&H Bakery. That's the spot to be.
Not a boy. That's where Kay Adams goes when she visits Wisconsin. Alex, appreciate the call. Drive safely down to Racine. And if you see Mad Max putting around, fighting against the cabal, maybe we'll hear from Max tonight. Say hello. He's down there fighting the good fight in Racine. Giannis can do what he wants. He's a grown man. I don't need to be serviced. I just feel like there has never been an athlete in professional sports who had more good pub and more good PR with their fan base. And I still think a large majority of the fan base is sad but okay with him leaving. I don't understand why he's chosen over the last 6 months to dress it up the way that he has. And, well, Grant, he's not going to post a thank you until the trade becomes official. Okay, but then it's kind of my belief that he shouldn't post anything until then. My thing. You don't have to agree. It's just my take. It's my show. It's my microphone. And if the trade is official enough for the Bucks to introduce Nate Ahmet, I feel like it's close enough. I don't know. But that's just me. 608-321-1670. Let's go Sports Show. Who's that?
Happy Fins Up Friday. Free Thrones Friday, Grant.
Fins Up, Big Ron. What's going on?
It's just, I don't know. Did you read that? I was listening to a competing radio station, and they were talking about a very huge, long, 25-page article in the Milwaukee Journal. Sentinel about
from Jimmo.
Giannis.
We covered that on I think on Wednesday. We picked. I mean, it's so long we could spend hours reading through it. We picked through some of the highlights. Yeah.
Yeah, and so I didn't read it myself. That I don't have the attention span to sit down for 20 minutes and read an article. But I did hear it, kind of summarized, and it didn't paint Giannis in the most favorable light. The way I understand it. And, it's just sad because being a Wisconsin sports fan all my life, this is just another hero who, when he joined the league, he was innocent. He was happy to try he had never had a smoothie before.
Mm-hmm.
He had to learn how to drive, all this stuff. He's just a nice, good guy. And it's just like he fell into the Brett Favre, Aaron Rodgers syndrome, where he's just, I think the money and the power and the fame and everything's just changed him. And I just think that's really sad. And I'm trying to think of some of my other Wisconsin sports heroes, and the only ones I can think of that, like Robin Yount and Paul Molitor and some of those old 80s, 90s Brewers.
Braun never left. Braun never went anywhere. Just saying. Just saying. I don't know. I'm just saying.
Yeah. No, you're right. You're right. You're right. I mean, and he cheated for the fans. He cheated to stay healthy, to put a good product on the field.
Damn
so
straight.
That's a good ad. That's a good ad for that list. Damn straight.
I think there's a couple factors at play, Big Ron. You have an awesome weekend. I just got loaded phone lines. We will talk more soon. Thank you, Big Ron. It was nice to hear from you. I think there's a couple things at play. Cowherd's talked about this Green Bay quarterback effect. Green Bay is such a small market where the quarterback of the Green Bay Packers, without an owner, just becomes this huge, they're like the friggin' governor, probably even bigger than the governor. And it would be difficult to process. It would change how a person maybe thinks and acts. presented very differently with Rodgers and Favre. Certainly worse with Favre. I think Rodgers, people remember Rodgers much more unfavorably than they should. Much more unfavorably than they should. So there's that, because I think Milwaukee's also a small market, and Giannis was so much bigger than. So I think that's at play there. And I also think it's just the NBA, man. Like, all that money, all of the access and all, like, it's just the American basketball complex. We have Tony in Texas to thank for that. So it's the Green Bay quarterback thing and the NBA thing. Sure, Giannis changed a little bit. He also has the right to change a little bit. He won the city a title, won MVPs. So he has a little bit of that right. I just don't know that he always exercised that right in the best way. Like, the coach that he wanted and fought for turned out to suck. You know what I mean? Like, it's not necessarily that he was an awful teammate. It's that he leveraged his power to get a coach that he wanted, and the coach wasn't any good, and it hurt the team. So we'll pick this up on the other side. If you're on hold, I promise I will get to you right after this break. Sorry to make you wait. We'll be right back.
This is the Wisco Sports Show with Grant Bills on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 3 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 2 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 1 minute. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 30 seconds.
Wisco Sports Show, welcome back. Mike Clemens is going to join us in 2 minutes here to talk about the latest with Pat Murphy. Had surgery. He's at the ballpark. He'll get us ready for Brewers Cubs. But there was one caller who called really early, and you've been waiting like 15 minutes, so I want to sneak you in right before Mike. So warm up the stage for Mike. Wisco Sports Show. Who's this?
Yeah, we can go real quick, Grant. I got 3 main points.
Hit me.
First, Giannis thinks Milwaukee fans are dumb because Milwaukee fans are dumb. I think part of the collective hurt here, the pain, is the unity we had in fighting the idea of ESPN and Shams for 3 years. And you made an extended point yesterday about how these analysts are really well connected.
Yep.
I think the Olzarski article and everything that we've learned since the trade paints a timeline. Shams was freaking right the whole time. And we're sitting here with our pants around our ankles looking like idiots as collective. So I think there's an element of that. Second, he was a cancer, right? Miles Turner came out. This is good. Going forward, love the picks. Who the hell cares what Giannis does next? I don't need an apology. Lastly, you were a smart man leaving Iron County out of your graphic earlier. It was a tight battle. Manitowoc has the singular best restaurant in the state when you're going pound for pound, dollar for dollar. But I got to go zone superior because you left a little room. You cut up the Apostle Islands, but you left a little room for Duluth. And I think having a little bit of crossover into that city is why I ended up picking zone 1. So Elite Graphic, if you haven't been paying attention, follow Grant on Twitter. He puts out good stuff. And smart man leaving Iron County off that list because we know who would have won.
Vagabond John, also appreciate the call. Baited me. I didn't realize he was trolling me earlier today. And I'm embarrassed to say when we were talking about the location. Coach Freed started an outstanding debate, lobbed a complete grenade onto Twitter this week asking or saying that, well, Milwaukee's always been a baseball town. And that did not go over well with the Bucks fans. Vagabond John said they were dumb. I didn't. I was just throwing it out there. I think Giannis must think we're a little dumb based on some of the things that he said over the last year. It's like, dude, you knew you were leaving. Okay, fine. But then why did you? I don't know. I just have questions. That's all. Mike Clemens, this is the ballpark. Mike, thank you for waiting there. So you're covering a manager getting surgeries. Have you ever done this in your long journalistic career before?
Not in season. Honestly, when I was a kid and just starting out, George Bamberger was having heart troubles and had to take some time off. I had a mild heart attack. Anyway, the honest thing, someday soon, let me come on your show because I can do 2 hours and things that I've learned in the last week and things that kind of add up in those chapters. But no, hey, it's Cubs and Brewers, good old border battle. You got the Cubbies on a roll, right? They've won 7 of the last 10. They are now in second place in the NL Central, 6.5 behind Milwaukee. They get this 4-game sweep against the Mets. And somehow they're doing this with a depleted starting rotation, so much so that after they had to put Edward Cabrera and Ben Brown on IL, they walked across the field last night and said to the Mets, hey, how much you give up? How much do you need for that left-handed pitcher, David Peterson?
Yep.
And they, give us a prospect. Okay, sure. Hey, David, pack your bags. You're getting on and playing with the Cubs. You're going to play in Milwaukee this weekend. See ya. Bye-bye. So, that's what the Cubs are getting by with in terms of starting pitchers. Tonight, they go against Mizorowski. I think, Murph has had this weekend schedule because tomorrow they're going to get Kyle Harrison. And then on Sunday, it's Brandon Woodruff, who retired the first 16 batters. But the surprise news is that Pat Murphy, who's been having this growing intensive pain in the lower back and on the hip, had surgery yesterday, 2.5 hour of back surgery for like a ruptured disc in Appleton. And he's going to manage the game tonight. Matter of fact, I see him right now, and he is shaking hands and hugging a reporter from Chicago. And he's just outside the dugout. He's walking slow. But the plan for Pat Murphy, the Brewers manager tonight, is that he's going to be in the area of the dugout in a protected area. He didn't want to go into it. We'll find out in the game. But, basically, the man just had back surgery yesterday. He cannot move fast. He cannot dodge a ball. So he has to be fully caged up. So he doesn't he said, or, what if the blue-haired kid comes after me?
Yeah.
Talking about Pete Crow Armstrong.
That's funny.
What if that kid goes nuts? The 24-year-old center fielder from Chicago. So he's going to still try and call these games. And he tried to put it off. I said, wait, just a second here. So what's next with this thing? Because what we were told was this. He's got this hip bone situation. He's 67 years old. He's been, managing baseball 40, 50 years. He goes, the hip bone thing creates his problems with the sciatic nerve, and he's got this burning pain in the lower back. Well, turns out, no, and he had a disc problem in the back. So it looks like this will at least alleviate the pain for now, probably get better in the next couple of weeks. and then he'll have the hip surgery once the season is over with.
Okay, so that's been moved back. So he's going to be in a protected room. Putting him in a cage or behind a net in the dugout would be kind of funny, but then you're at the point where it almost looks a little silly and it's hard to take it seriously. Like Hugh Freeze coaching from a hospital bed up behind a window when he was with Liberty a couple of years ago. So I understand why they're doing that. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. All right. Well,
so that's the plan there. And I raced up to the press box as soon as we got done talking with him. He did it in the media room because, well, there's actually a pretty big contingency here from Chicago as well to cover this big series this weekend because, you know, the Cubs, man, they want this. They want to catch up to the Brewers, and this is a great opportunity to do so. But right after I get in with you, then I'm running back downstairs over to the visitor side, and Craig Counsell's going to go in about 45 minutes. And then I'll get you this sound so you can hear what these guys have got to say here later in the show.
Appreciate it, Mike. Make sure you don't miss a single word of Craig Counsell's presser. I'm sure it will be electric as always with that guy. I'm sure there will be lots of gold to be mined out of that presser.
Don't make it a drinking game, Grant. Don't make it a drinking game. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Thanks for the time, Mike. Appreciate it.
Thanks, pal.
Mike Clemens, the bowels of American Family Field. Yeah, Chicago reporters are up here to talk to Pat Murphy because they probably want to be entertained or interested in a managerial press conference for once. All right. We had a caller sit through that on hold. Thank you very much for your patience. Wisco Sports Show. Who's this?
Of course. I got nothing but patience.
Thank you,
on
Cone
a Friday.
Roller. I didn't want to make Mike wait. Sorry. I'm juggling a lot of balls here. Oh, all right. Cut that out.
Question. Do we want Pat Murphy coaching post-surgery? I mean, he's probably coming down on some painkillers or something.
Probably. Maybe he'll run Joel Kuhnel could open for Mizorowski or something crazy like that. Who knows what he'll cook up?
I mean, he's still got to be high or something. Christian Yelich is hitting leadoff again.
Great. That's even worse. Okay. Well, here's the thing, though. I'll make an exception for Yelich this weekend because he's hitting a home run. Sam Olbur is going to join us later on in the show. He said the same thing. I recorded with him earlier today. I'm like, yeah, Yelich is struggling. He's like, yeah, but he'll hit a homer this weekend. He absolutely will. But Yelich at leadoff is just, oh, God. Okay. All right. The painkillers aren't helping there. At least Murph can be pain-free while watching it, unlike the rest of us.
True. And yeah, back to Vagabond John's call. It's exactly what I was going to say. Giannis is treating Milwaukee like they're idiots because, let's be real, Bucks fans, maybe not all, maybe not most, but the current iteration of Bucks fans that are on Twitter, tweeting everything, all that are idiots. Straight up duped by Giannis.
So here's the thing. Everyone's angry at Shams. Fins up, Cone. Have a great weekend unless you have something else.
No, I got nothing else. Fins up, Grant. Have a good one.
You as well. I got into an argument over this with Zach the other day about Shams. There's a difference between Shams or ESPN people going on First Take and having a discussion about Giannis's future. That's just talk show fodder. That's not reporting. So when we say things like, well, Shams has been gunning for this for 5 years. He's been saying that Giannis would leave for 5 years. I don't necessarily think that's true. I think there's always been ESPN personalities on talk shows who have discussed the subject matter because it gets people riled up. Makes for good content. However, over the last year, since they lost in the first round of the playoffs last year, and I just gave you the details, the timeline presented by Jamal Collier, ESPN earlier today, but it's been laid out by many. You know, Giannis did one out last summer. Now, again, he stopped short of demanding a trade publicly, but he did one out. And then he wanted out again during the season. And through a lot of it, Bucks fans kind of just said Shams was lying. And he was not. So now Giannis leaves. And I think some Bucks fans are taken aback because they didn't heed the blinking light in front of their face that was saying Giannis is going to leave because the blinking light was Shams, who no one wanted. I'm not defending him. I'm just describing the events as they occurred. And yeah, it's exhausting. Oh, they're talking about Giannis leaving on First Take again. Why are you watching First Take if it irks you that much? Any superstar on a team that's underperforming is going to be discussed in potential trade conversations on talk shows because, duh, it's a talk show. That's what you do. This last year was a little different. There was legit reporting and information on Giannis's interest in going elsewhere. And I think a lot of people ignored it, so they were caught off guard. I'm not saying that makes people dumb. Cone and Vagabond John have said exactly that. 608-321-1670. Let's go Sports Show. Who's that? Hello? Line number 3. Hello? All right. I'm going to let you go. If there was an issue with a Bluetooth or something, just give me a call back. Any texts on this subject matter? Duckin said, did I hear correctly on Bill's show that the Brewers were going to install a climbable front row Amy? Nice. No, just the climbable cow on that plaza area. It's just funny that, and there'll be a climbable cow. It's just funny wording. Let's try one more time. Let's go Sports Show. Who's this?
Hey, Grant, Ben, and West Bend.
Hey, Ben, how's it going?
Good, thank you.
Good. Thank you.
I think that he posted the Wolf of Wall Street clip because he's duping Milwaukee fans, and then it's saying, look who I'm going to attract in a new market, right? He's like already out, and then he's got insider trading information, and he's making us look even dumber.
That's another thing. He announced that partnership with Kalshi, and he did kind of make it seem like he was staying, even though he clearly knew he wasn't. And then Chris Haynes, who's I think related to him now in some way, saying that Boston's the leader in the clubhouse. It's just all there's that whole thing too that I don't really care about, because if you put your money in prediction markets, like, I don't know, if you gamble on sports, I don't feel bad for you. You're gambling on sports. But there's that whole part of it too, with the inside information and the prediction markets. That's something that some people have covered as well, Ben.
Yeah. Great timeline insight. Thanks for the call. Thanks for taking the call, and have a good weekend.
Yeah, you as well. I will not be in West Bend, but I'll be over that way. Wedding tomorrow, and I'm going to Summerfest tonight. See what Marcus King's got up his sleeve. I'm intrigued. One more, and then we're going to go to break. Let's go Sports Show. Who's this?
Little Red Riding Hood.
Dave from Monona. Good evening, Dave.
Now, I think I was the only caller on this show the last 6 years who told you that Giannis was a piece of crap. Behind this, I told you guys.
It's a bit strong.
Well, spend more time mastering your basketball than having babies. People, he told you what kind of a player was on the out season. He'd go overseas. He's not an all-star player. And here's the proof. Name me an all-star player that wanted to come play in Milwaukee. Hell, LeBron and Kevin, all the other superstars wanted to get together. Did anybody want to come to Milwaukee and play with Giannis? No. Yes, he is great for the fans. And what he's done for kids and fans, outstanding. But on the court, behind the scenes, those players couldn't stand him, just like Brett Favre. Brett Favre had his own dressing room, his own locker room. The players couldn't stand him. But people don't care. But come on, people, about Giannis. I told you this from day one. He wasn't a team player. And I guess, once again, Dave from Monona was correct. See you later, Giannis. He's going to Miami. And the only good thing about Giannis going to Miami is my tickets, when he comes to Milwaukee, are going to be worth a lot of money, Giannis. So thank you.
Well, I'm glad your economics, Dave, are in good shape. Appreciate the call. I don't have that much anger, Giannis. Thanks for the title. 13 great years. It's a long run. It's longer than a lot of players would stay. I don't hold against him that he didn't retire here. Don't have a problem with it. It got a little weird over the last year, and it seems like it didn't need to. I guess that's my question or my confusion, which doesn't really make me change how I feel about him. Good luck in Miami. I mean, I'm not going to root for him. I'm indifferent. I don't wish anything. I don't wish you ill. I don't wish you success. It's just, you're on a new team now. I'm interested in seeing what happens there. Let's take a break. One more detail from this ESPN story on Giannis. And then at the end of the hour, I put on my producer hat a little bit today. I cut some of the highlights from David Stearns' presser today. They fired their manager, and he had to face the New York media, and the New York media brought it today. So I'll play you some of the highlights to wrap up the first hour. Sam Olbur will be here at 5. How lucky are we? So much good show after this break. Don't go anywhere.
This is the on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Shopping for new windows and doors shouldn't feel like a negotiation. Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin doesn't believe in games. They never inflate pricing, and there's no high-pressure sales pitch. Just premium windows and doors built for long-term comfort, beauty, and peace of mind. Buy direct through Pella, and one trusted team handles everything with Pella certified installers every step of the way. Real pricing, premium quality, no games. Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin. Schedule your free in-home consultation today at PellaWI.com.
Wisco Sports Show will resume in 8 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 4 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 3 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 2 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 1 minute. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 30 seconds.
Wisco Sports Show. I'm going to give you some highlights. David Stearns facing the media in New York today. You know, the fabled New York media. They threw fastballs today. David Stearns and the Mets just canned the manager after getting swept by the Cubs. 6 errors. And I think the first game or the second game of that doubleheader, I believe on Wednesday. I will give you some of the highlights from that press conference. One more Bucks thing from this Jamal Collier story here in a shorter segment. And jump in if you'd like. 608-321-1670. There was a lot of I guess behind the scenes from the organizational perspective. If you want a little bit more on the last year and especially the last couple of weeks between both the Bucks and the Heat, you can find it in the story Jamal Collier and others. Ramona Shelburne contributed as well about what was going on with John Horst and what was going on in Miami. There isn't a lot in here that we didn't know already. There was one interesting anecdote about Drew Holiday. A Bucks source said this, quote, looking back on it, the one thing that we did change, looking back on it, the one thing we did that changed everything was put Drew in that trade, a Bucks source said. Drew is such a leader on and off the floor. He would do things like if Giannis was holding the ball too much, he would bring it up and play with everyone else without making it a thing. He was a pro at it. There was an anecdote in Ozarski's story where Chris Middleton was referred to as the Giannis whisperer. And maybe I can find that real quick. Behind the scenes, Bucks. It's a huge story, like Jim said. But they shouldn't fall apart, and Giannis shouldn't fall apart. Because Drew Holiday is traded. If you miss his defense, that's fine. That's a tactile thing. You're going to get worse defensively with Dame. That's fine. You lose Chris's shot making in clutch moments. That's fine. That's a tactile basketball thing. You shouldn't crumble spiritually. Like Giannis is a big boy. Here, if I can remember where this was in the story, Chris Middleton. And I'm just control effing in the story. However, Middleton was considered, quote, the Giannis whisperer, a player who had the Stars' utmost respect and could deliver hard criticism or honest thoughts about his game. Just a small thing. So we have anecdotes about how much Giannis needed Drew, about how much he needed Chris. It's like, I don't know. I'm not trying to drag Giannis after the fact. It's just an indictment, you know. Like Giannis is supposed to be able to bring some of that as the best player. And if the best player can't bring some of that stuff, you're going to be limited as a team, clearly. Let's take a call here and then a shorter segment here because I want to get to the David Stearns audio next. Wisco Sports Show. Who's this?
Andrew in South Milwaukee.
Hey, Andrew. What's going on?
Hey, I've been searching all week for some thoughts on Giannis that I haven't heard on this show or any other ones. And I only have really one that I think is 100% true that I would like to share.
Okay.
All right. It's a funny one, but when you think about it, it's true. Giannis is currently, by being an investor in Kalshi, he is engaged in what you could call a conspiracy to subvert state-level gambling regulations across the country. And I think it's very funny that that's technically true.
Yeah. I don't know if enough about it, but a lot of people have pointed it out, you know, with some of his messaging. And that's, Andrew, some of his messaging doesn't make sense. If you know that you're leaving, why are you tweeting and posting some of the things that you are, you know?
Oh, yeah. No, I've been listening all day. I totally agree with what you guys have been saying on here. I have a free phones thing if I could throw it out.
Please.
All right. In honor of peak concert season, you're going to Summerfest tonight. I was there last Friday. I saw Hot Mulligan and Styx.
Hell yeah.
And Styx got me thinking. I wanted to ask you this. Have you seen any legacy artists like that late in their career who you were impressed with how well they held up at that point?
Yeah. A couple, Andrew. I appreciate it. I'm going to let you go. I mean, I've seen McCartney twice. I went with my family. Family wanted to do a trip when he played Miller Park. Maybe 2014, 2013-ish, maybe around there. It was hot. It was, if you're like, was that the night it was really hot? Yeah, it was that night. I was blown away. Now, of course, he's incredible. He's Paul McCartney. I saw him again at the Target Center. He was great. Robert Cray lesser known artist. Well, not lesser than Paul McCartney. Obviously, everyone would be lesser known. But he sounded like he was 40. And I think he was 70 something at the time. This was like 2 or 3 years ago. Couldn't believe how well he sang. Legacy artists. I saw Ronnie Millsap at the Northern Wisconsin State Fair, although that was about what I expected. I wouldn't say I was blown away or impressed. He kind of delivered exactly what I thought we were going to get. For, I don't know how old he would have been at the time. He was at least 70 something. If there's any other ones, maybe they'll come to me, but those are the ones that came to me right away. Michael Martin Murphy. I saw him at Leon Leona's. Is that Middle Ridge or St. Joseph's Ridge? I can never remember. He was really good, but again, about what I expected. If there's a Nitty Gritty Dirt Band, they're old as dirt, but awesome every time. Those are the main ones that I can think of. I'm sure there's one or two that I've forgotten. I will return to this on the other side, and I'll give you some David Stearns audio. I'm sure there's one or two that I'm forgetting, but those are the ones. Fun topic. I like seeing legacy artists, and most of the time they bring it. Turns out like they're still really good, even if they're old. One final segment of hour number 1. Sam Olbur, Locked On Cubs, going to be here at 5 o'clock, so don't go anywhere.
This is the Wisco Sports Show with Grant Bills on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 3 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 2 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 1 minute. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 30 seconds.
I'll start on what is a very difficult day by thanking Carlos. Mendy gave everything he had to our organization for the last 2.5 years. He's an exceptionally talented leader. He's a really good baseball man. above all else, he's an outstanding person. I enjoyed working with him, and I'm going to miss him. And I'm happy to take any questions.
David, you said you consider a partnership with Mendy. That said, have you considered stepping aside? Is that something you've thought about?
I have not.
And do you believe you have ownership support to continue this job?
Yes.
What makes you think that?
Steve and I are talking on a regular basis, and he certainly indicated that I have his support.
Why should fans have confidence in you, because you mentioned the team's current performance, to be able to help turn this around?
Yeah, I understand fan skepticism. If I were sitting in the fan seat, I would share that.
Given last year's collapse, the reconstruction of the roster and the new coaching staff, do you personally feel that you put Carlos Mendoza in a position to succeed this season?
I think when you look at our record right now, this is not where we want to be.
I appreciate you said it's an organizational decision, but did Steve come to you to fire Mendy, or did you go to him?
I'm not going to get into the specifics of Steve and my conversations.
Do you second guess any of that when you hear fans chanting for Pete Alonso the other night? What did that feel like for you?
David, you said you're building the foundation of the organization and get it to where you want it to be long term. How do you juxtapose that with the most visible part of the organization being on pace for its worst season since 2003?
Just given the roster construction, you taking responsibility for it, do you feel like you have blind spots in this role, and do you think you'll look for a GM potentially to help that over the offseason in addition to the managerial search?
I think we are always evaluating how we can get better as a front office. That's inclusive of personnel additions, process modifications, and so I'm not going to close the door on anything.
I don't want to use the word preparation, but just what do you attribute some of these mistakes and many mistakes you've been seeing on the field?
It's very difficult for all of us.
I've had this song stuck in my head all day. Now that was New York media the way I'm told the New York media operates. That was ruthless. David, have you thought about stepping aside? But really the tone was more like, hey, have you thought about taking your life? It's like, Jesus, you guys. I actually thought Stearns acquitted himself the best you possibly could in a press conference like that. I thought he came across fine. You're not going to win that press conference. I don't think he lost it. Incredible content. I almost feel bad for him. But then again, dude, you spent $350 million. What are you doing? 608-321-1670. Thanks for sitting through the break. Who's this?
Jeff from Spring Valley.
Hey, Jeff, what's going on?
I just wanted to comment on the Giannis deal that, I thought it was better for the Bucks that he didn't put it out there that he wanted to be traded. Didn't that work better for the Bucks that they could make a better deal? Or
Sure. Yeah. I think here's the thing. If he would have publicly demanded a trade last summer with 2 years left on his contract, I don't think it would have hurt the market too bad. I think they probably still would have been fine. This summer, I think he could have been a little bit more aggressive and said, no, I'll only go to the Celtics. I'll only go. And because he didn't do that, I think that did help them. Yeah.
Right. And then I just, the few years ago when they were the best record for year after year after year, that was great. But the last few years, I'm glad the trade happened because so many of their superstars were hurt all the time, and it
had run its course. Jeff,
thank you. It had run its course.
Thank you for sitting on hold. I wish I could give you another minute, but we got to take a break. I love Spring Valley. I have not been there in too long. Let's go Cardinals. I'm not happy the trade happened. I'm not devastated because it had kind of run its course. And for the sake of the NBA, it's going to be more interesting with him somewhere else next year. We'll get a 2-minute update. Sam Olbur, Locked On Cubs, next.
This is a Wisconsin Sports Zone update.
Well, it's Brewers Cubs at American Family Field tonight. Give you the second series of the season between the two rivals. Milwaukee. playing better baseball now, coming off a 4-game sweep of the Mets that resulted in New York firing their manager today. But the Brewers will be sending their best on the mound in the series. Jacob Mizrowski gets the ball tonight. He's 8-1 with a 1.45 ERA. Favorite to win the Cy Young Award right now. The Cubs going to counter with former Brewers pitcher Colin Ray. He's 5-5 with a 4.99 ERA. Milwaukee leads the NL Central by 6.5 games on Chicago. First pitch is at 6:45. Turn to the Bucks. They introduced their new players yesterday in Arizona. Guard Braden Berry's in Tennessee. Forward Nate Ahmet at a press conference. New coach Taylor Jenkins was there too. Sounded excited to get to work with the young duo.
Their unselfishness too. I mean, these guys are stellar individual players. They've got room to grow. And I'm going to remind them of that. These guys come with a mentality of like, I truly want to get better. They're going to bring that energy. But we have an opportunity here with depth, with guys that are versatile on both sides of the floor.
Milwaukee going to be in action in Summer League in Las Vegas starting next month.
Everyone should feel confident about their path forward. Exact Sciences helps eradicate cancer by preventing it, detecting it earlier, and guiding personalized treatment. They continue to help patients and healthcare providers make timely, informed decisions before, during, and after a cancer diagnosis by partnering with the industry's best minds and top institutions to transform how we approach cancer. Known for Cologuard and Oncotype DX, allow Exact Sciences to help make a positive impact in your health path forward. Learn more at exactsciences.com.
Wisconsin's basketball recruiting class for 2027 is in the top 5 in the country. That's after getting a commitment from the top player in the state of Minnesota yesterday in wing Abubakar Ann. He's a 4-star recruit. Joins 4-star guard Jalen Brown. 3-star center Jack Thielen as part of the class. With this Wisconsin Sports Zone Network update, I'm Zach Heil, Print.
Yeah, just play good baseball. I mean, that's number one. We got to just keep playing good baseball. And you know, with the doubleheader, with the rainouts, yeah, it was a good series.
Hour number 2, that's Craig Counsell. Played good baseball. Colorado, doubleheader in New York. They split a game with Toronto, or split a series because one of the games was rained out. So they split the 2-game series with Toronto the middle of the week. Cubs have had a nice 10 days here. We'll talk with Sam Olbur, Locked On Cubs, here in just a moment. One final thought on David Stearns with the Mets, and we got time to take one call before we do get to Sam. I did think it was funny. The guy who asked David Stearns, do you think have you thought about resigning? Mike Puma, the New York Sports, on March 24th, tweeted, the Post's Fine Baseball preview is out today, including staff predictions. This is my 17th season on the beat, and never picked the Mets to win the World Series. My pick this year, Mets over Mariners. I will note that my preseason pick last year was Dodgers over Blue Jays. So that's what Mike Puma, that was his coverage in March. Today, he's got to ask the GM if he should resign. So I'm not throwing that in Mike Puma's face. I'm just showing how much things have changed in the last couple of months. I don't do predictions because I'd never get them right. So who cares about prediction? It's just crazy how much things have changed and the perception, even on the specific Mets beat from March to now. We got time for one call, and then Sam Olbur, Locked On Cubs, is going to join us. Wisco Sports Show. Who's this?
Grant, Tony from Texas.
Hey, Tony.
I'm catching strays from you, so I had a call. The Mets, God, a Pete Alfonso home run still stings me.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you ever think about that one. Hey,
Every
if you
day.
had to swap out, man, I know it does, doesn't it? If you had to swap out Counsell and Murphy, switch teams, is there a different record with each team?
That is a great question.
Thank you, Bill.
I would love to say yes, but I
think there is. I think there is something to focus on a baseball team, because a long season, these guys sometimes are just going through the motions. They're spitting out sunflower seeds, chewing tobacco, looking at women in the stands. I think just keeping these guys focused. I love when Murphy says, you didn't run out of pop-up, go run out the pop-up.
Yeah.
I think you set the standard. Call it old school Robin Yount. I heard Big Ron talk about Robin Yount's the last true real Milwaukee hero. Yeah, I love that old school style. Unfortunately, if these contracts doesn't work, but with Milwaukee, somehow, some way it works. So it didn't work with the Bucks. Giannis, I said it before, I'll say it again. Great guy, great player, low IQ. Should never be in charge of a basketball team. He'd probably be better with a soccer team, Grant, to be honest with you. Probably knows more about that. But anyway, I'll let you go. Great show. Talk to you soon.
appreciate it, Tony. The Cubs and the Brewers are different in that the Brewers are a lot of young guys, some of whom have been paid, don't get me wrong, but it's a lot of younger guys trying to scratch out a role. It's just a different ethos of a team. The Cubs are a lot of veterans who have been paid, who are vested in this league. So does Pat Murphy's approach work on every team the way that it works in Milwaukee? I don't know. I led the show yesterday pointing out some differences between Murphy and Counsell, and Murph basically blasting the 13th pitcher on the roster in a postgame press conference because we need everybody to be reliable, versus Counsell, who over the course of the season is going to give you a lot of, it's a long season, these things will happen, there'll be ups and downs. I don't think Murphy accepts ups and downs, but I don't know if that changes the reality in Chicago. I'd like to think so, but I'm not sure. Just something to think about when you're laying in bed struggling to fall asleep. Sam Olbur, Locked on Cubs, always a popular guest. We did about 20 minutes earlier today. Here's our conversation. Enjoy. Sam Olbur is here, Locked on Cubs. We got a big series this weekend. Sam does Locked on Cubs with Matt Cozy. Outstanding baseball show. It's become one of my favorites. Has your team figured it out, Sam? Has this last week or this last 10-day stretch restored a little faith? Yeah.
Is it a big series, Grant? Really? No. So last time we talked, if you remember, if your great listeners remember, I said there's been two different Cubs teams. There's been the 20-3 team, and then the Cubs were limping into that series at Wrigley against you guys, and was like, okay, what team do we have? And then the question was answered as the Cubs were basically the worst team in baseball for a month, stopped hitting, and yes, over the last 10 games, they have resuscitated themselves a little bit offensively, mainly because PCA's having one of the great months in the history of the franchise, to be honest with you. But Grant, they don't have it. I might pitch this weekend.
Yeah.
They might bring me in. We have Edward Cabrera, done. You will not see him until maybe late August if you're lucky. Justin Steele, he was supposed to be back by now. And he's the one guy that really handles you guys pretty well. If you look at the stats, no, forget it. He's done. Cade Horton, we know, done. Tyone's been hurt. And then the one pitcher that has really kind of been outside of Pete, the bright spot of this season, Ben Brown, done. We'll not see him at least for a couple months with a neck injury. They're out of guys. You're going to know more about some of the guys that they pitched this weekend than me.
Are they going to start Bryce Wilson? I know Colin Ray, former Brewer, goes tonight. I saw you guys claimed Bryce Wilson. Is he going to start? I haven't looked at the probables. I'm pulling him up right now.
I believe it should be Ray tonight, who you know more about than me, factually. Yeah. David Peterson, I believe, should get the ball on Saturday if he's reported to the team. They traded for him, but there had been no reports that he's reported yet. Alongside Bryce Wilson. And then Sunday, Lord only knows. I don't know. I don't know. They're out of pitch. I've never seen anything like this. They're genuinely out of pitchers. I mean, it's so weird because it's kind of the whole season's changed. Like when we talked last time, it was like, man, we finally got to figure out a way to beat the Brewers. Now, I personally think the Brewers are as good as any team in baseball, and it's like now the Cubs are just trying to figure out a way to get through the season. I mean, it's. Maybe sneak a wild card spot and see what happens.
You know what's weird, and I don't watch every single Cubs game, and I don't see every single detail, so I'm sure they're outliers. But through all those pitching injuries, it seems like for the most part, at least recently, your pitching has kept you in position. Like I don't. Counsell probably gets some credit for that. Assad out of nowhere had an appearance where he just kind of sacked up. Like for all of the absences you guys have, the pitching's actually been way better than you'd think, right?
Yes, 100%. The reason the Cubs are 7 games out or whatever they are of Milwaukee is mainly because their offense slept for 2 months. Alex Bregman hasn't hit a home run since the 90s, and Nico Horner forgot how to hit and whatnot. But yes, it stayed afloat. The last couple of weeks, what's starting to become an issue is they're also out of bullpen arms. Daniel Palencia's hurt. And they had a game last Saturday against Toronto. They had a 5-run lead, and I went to the gym and came back. It was, the game they lost 8-5 or whatever it was. Like the bullpen's starting to become a problem. But now, like Brown was a huge piece of that, and so this will be the first weekend his first turn he's missing.
Well, and not only has he been your best pitcher, but he's been one of your bright spots. So to have that taken away, not only his production and his contributions gone, but it kind of feels like a little bit of a gut punch to the ethos of the team in the season. At least if I was a Cubs fan, I'd feel that way.
Absolutely. I've never, everybody that I've talked to, nobody's ever seen anything like this. I mean, if you name their best 11 arms, 9 or 10 of them have missed significant time. It's, and again, that's not me making an excuse for the mediocrity that we've seen over the last couple of months, because that's been offensive related. But looking into the future, the rest of the year, that's where it's like, how are they going to make a serious run? How are they going to rattle off 15 out of 22 when, what's Bryce Wilson might be pitching every fifth day? No disrespect to him, but
all do, of course, to Bryce Wilson. Sam Olbers here, Locked On Cubs. Last time you were on, I asked you which player in the offense, if this guy's going, then everyone else starts to go. And you said Pete. I thought you might say Nico. We talked about a couple, but Pete was your answer. With the month that Pete has had, does that give you a little bit more confidence if he's playing at a high level, maybe not, historically high, but if he continues to produce, does that make you feel better about some of these other guys?
Yeah, I think going off the results, you probably were right, because Pete's been literally, like I said, he's been the best player in this month of June. He's been the best player in the league, and they still are fighting to win games. So, and Nico's just completely fell off. So maybe the answer is Nico, but yeah, it gives me more confidence. I mean, the thing with Pete is like, baseball's so weird, man. When you analyze it every day, 2 months, like a month and a half ago, it was like, hey, Pete's playing decent defense. Although I saw your tweet and I agree with it. It's like, it feels like he plays great defense, but like once a month, he'll have like one of the worst plays you've ever seen.
Yeah.
But it's like, okay, he's playing the defense, but like, is he great? Like, is he a superstar offensively? And then 3 weeks later, the whole narrative changes. Like, that's just how baseball works. So like, I guess the big nice part of the season is I'm at the point now where it's like, Pete's a star. Like, he's a superstar player. Like, yes, he's going to cause some sort of, he's not everybody's cup of tea. To me, I just care about what happens on the field. Like, I can't wait to watch the first pitch of the game tonight with Mizorowski. Pete's going to try and hit it 500 feet. It's going to be really funny. It's going to be either like a massive swing and a miss, foul back, or he's going to hit hit it 460 feet. But like, the Cubs have a true superstar. Like, they really do. Like, I was interacting with one of the Brewers fans that listens to my show, and they're like, this was like 2-3 weeks ago, and they're like, well, Churio's better, this and this. I said, listen, the Cubs and Brewers have so many big organizational differences that favor the Brewers. The last thing I'm worried about that's really impacting things is Churio versus Pete. We're good over there.
Yeah. Churio, I mean, I could do an hour. I might do an hour on Churio tonight. We've discussed him a lot and some of these other Brewers bats, because they actually haven't hit the ball. Look, if you want a silver lining or something to feel good about going into this weekend, Sam, even with Bryce Wilson and Colin Ray, like, I think Colin Ray's nice. It's just, if you're relying on him to be your most reliable arm, you're probably in a tough spot. The Brewers offense is not exactly tearing the cover off the ball. Terang slipped a little bit. Yelich looks absolutely lost. And Churio and Contreras are, I don't know, maybe you have a player like this on the Cubs. It's like, man, all the talent, all the ability, but sometimes I need to see you lock in a little bit more at the plate. You know what I mean? Like, settle in, having it bat, see some pitches, that kind of thing. So this offense is not exactly in the best spot they've been in all year.
First of all, doesn't matter how Yelich is hitting. He will hit a homer this weekend.
I feel the same way. Yes.
Averages.
Yep.
Yeah. Secondly, if the Cubs score 6 runs total off the 3 starters that they're facing, it'd be a huge win for me. I mean, unless it's just one of those weird weekends that maybe Mizorowski's due to just like lose command for an inning, I don't really think it's going to matter how the Brewers offense is going. But yeah, silver lining, I guess, but we're not exactly, if there's a get right series for the Brewers offense, it's this weekend as the Cubs run out Colin Ray and TBD.
I liked Bryce Wilson. He had a nice moment with the Brewers, but mostly not a guy who's been very good.
Was he with Counsell?
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
He seems to have a good feel for his guys. I mean, the same's been true with Hobie Milner. He's had a good run with Chicago this year, hasn't he?
Yeah, I gave him a huge compliment on the show the other day. So of course the next day he got rocked. But outside of that, yeah. Outside of that, he's been really good. I will say, did you see Freddie Peralta versus the Cubs yesterday?
So I had someone text me. He's like, "Did you see what happened with Freddie?" And I went to check the box score, assuming it would be a disaster, and it actually was like, what did he pitched 5 innings, and then in the 6th he ran out of gas, or ran out of his, he did the Freddie Peralta thing.
It was just the most Freddie Peralta versus the Cubs outing I've ever seen. Like I've seen that outing 20 times in my life.
Yeah.
He dominated them for 4 or 5 innings. The defense was awful behind them in the 6th inning. Like, yes, he ran out of gas, but they can't field. Yeah. But it was just so funny. I think his final line was like 5+ with like 1 earned run and a bunch of Ks.
Sounds like Freddie Peralta. Well, and it drove me nuts in the offseason. This is just more baseball. But in the offseason, everyone's mad at the Brewers because they traded their ace. I'm like, guys, he's a nice pitcher. He's not an ace. And now I see, Mets people, the columns are being written. He was touted as an ace, and he's been, whatever he's been. And I'm like, see, this was the problem with the whole thing. What did you make of the Mets, just big picture in those? It was a 4-gamer, right? 4-game series. I thought the Mets were. I thought it was one of the worst series I've ever seen a team play. No, I'm serious. And that includes another one of the worst series I've ever seen a team play is when the Cubs played the Brewers at Wrigley Field earlier this year. Yeah. I mean, the Cubs were absolutely abominable in that game. In that series. I mean, that was when Pete dropped the ball in center, and then what did he have a ball go under his legs? And this was worse. I mean, the Mets made like 9 errors in the series, and they should have made more. They didn't care. It was awful. I mean, and that's the thing too. Like, 4-game sweeps in baseball, no matter who you play, are hard. Agreed. And so I'm not going to take anything away from the Cubs. They needed it, but that's why I'm very lukewarm about this weekend, because the Cubs haven't played like a really, really good team in a while, right? Like, I'm trying to think. I mean, it's been Rockies, Giants. They played the Blue Jays, who are middling, and then they just played the Mets. Like, they haven't played like a legit team in a good long while. So Lord knows they haven't faced a guy like this, man. I mean, this guy, I think he should be getting some MVP votes. It's been pretty unbelievable to watch, and it's been unbelievable because you remember there was an outing against Chicago. It would have been last July, where I remember. You've just never seen a pitcher look that bad, and you believe in the tools and the ability with Mizrowski, but he realized it in like less than a full year. He reached his ceiling in the snap of a finger. It took Corbin Burns 3 years. It is pretty crazy. I was gonna say it reminds me again a little bit of when Burns first came up, and I was like, man, the Brewers, Cubs are just teeing off on this guy, and then like they didn't score a run off Burns for like 2 years. Mm-hmm. But yeah, this is quicker, and I mean, it's unbelievable. Like, I don't think you guys understand how I get it. The whole, hey, they haven't had a lot of success in October, yada yada yada. First of all, I go back and say this. They ran into the Dodgers last year, who essentially just rested their starters the entire season for that moment. Yeah. And Blake Snell just, it was like, hey, Blake, don't worry about it. Just be ready when you're there. And he looked like Randy Johnson for 2 weeks. And then the year before, you can't account for Devin Williams melting down. Like, they did what they needed to do. They had a home game to win a series up 2 runs with one of the best closers in baseball on the mound. And he like that to me, that's not like, oh, the Brewers can't win in October. It's one of those things, and every single thing that they do works, man. Like this Kyle Harrison Durbin thing. I mean, it looks like it might be one of the great trades in the history of sport. Yeah. This guy, and by the way, and I only know this because I have him on my fantasy team, his ERA should be below 2. All his runs he gave up were in that ridiculous Vegas series. That shouldn't have been played. That was absolutely absurd. It cost me a fantasy week. What is he giving up? 14 runs? What is he giving up? 15 runs the whole year, and 8 of them were that night. I could have hit a homer that night. He's been terrific, and Sproat seems to be trending the right way. I still wouldn't trust him. Have him too. He's on my team too. Just little by little getting better, and then of course Woodruff. His arm is on the verge of falling off. Sam, he misses 2 months because he can't feel. He's got numbness. He comes back and he goes 6 perfect innings, or takes a perfect game into the 6th, and he's throwing 93. It's like, okay. Let me tell you, if they
obviously it's a huge if with the way baseball is going right now. But if they can keep those 4 dudes, because Priester's done for the year, right?
Yep. He's getting a rib removed. Yeah.
Oh, jeez. If they can keep those 4 dudes healthy, and they run into, and I know Ashby hasn't been great lately. But by the way, I know this because I just pick all Brewers for my fantasy team because it's just easy. You name them, I have them. You name a Brewers pitcher, he's probably on my team. If they could keep those 4 guys healthy and they run into October going Mizorowski, Harrison, Woodruff, Sproat with Patrick and Ashby as their like bridges to Uribe and McGill, I'm telling you, I don't care who they're playing. Good luck.
Yeah, and I thought along the same lines as you going into the NLCS last year. It's like, well, they'll give the Dodgers a series. And those games were closer than people remember them now. It was the frustrating thing isn't the payroll. The frustrating thing for me, Sam, is that they just got to rest their starters all year. Like, you shouldn't be able to do that and be a top seed.
And that's where when people go payroll, it's not the literal thing. It's the fact that they're so deep that they don't have to try so they could rest guys. Because people forget, they didn't even have a bye last year.
Yeah.
They mailed it in so much in the regular season, they had to just absolutely eviscerate the Reds at home to get to the Phillies, to get to Milwaukee. But yes, that's the secret sauce of their depth. Because Blake, we all know Blake, like everyone knows the Blake Snell story. Like when he's on, and then Glass now, same thing. And they just manage those guys' innings. So when they actually need them to be good, it's not how it works, right? Like the Brewers, think about how the Brewers, if they could just tell Woodruff or tell Mizorowski, hey, you know what, take a month and we'll see you in September. Well, we go, oh boy, you know?
Yep.
But they need those guys to win games.
No, that's how they make the playoffs and get that first round bye. No, that's the thing that bothers me. It's not just that they can have Kyle Tucker, and they can, but it's the advantages that you get by being as deep as they are. Right. You're absolutely right. And
they could have Kyle Tucker. Congrats to them.
Lastly, where we started on whether or not this is a big series, you're telling me that if they don't come out and carry a little of that offense over from the last couple of games or from the last 10 days, and they're up 3 or 4-0 in the 4th inning tonight, and the Cubs fans are loud, you're telling me, okay, maybe there is something. Maybe this team has figured something out. You don't think there's any possibility for that? You seem pretty down.
Well, in terms of yes, I think the Cubs have a legitimate chance to make the wild card. Absolutely. Okay. I would be absolutely floored if this division was close in September. And I mean, I would be shocked. Again, not counting for injuries, right? Like, I don't want to put that out in the air. If Mizorowski and Harrison and those guys are throwing every 5th day, and with the guys that comes about, if this thing's like a 4-game difference in September, it would be. And I hate saying that because the goal, I hate moving the goalpost. The goal was this year to finally figure out how to beat the Brewers in a 162-game season, because the Cubs literally have not done it since 2017. They don't count 2020. Makes no sense to do that. No. I'd be excited 3-4-0 and be like, hey, they're showing fight, and it'd be a big step towards, maybe getting that second slot behind Philly in the wild card. But in terms of the division, no, I don't. I mean, what's the line tonight? And the Brewers got to be like minus 250 tonight.
I suppose I could pull it up here. You would know more about gambling than I. You're an apt.
Yeah, it's got to be. I'll guess on. And by the way, I just want to say this: I'd rather pay $60 million a year for a Snickers bar than Kyle Tucker.
Just one more, so we're clear. Milwaukee's minus 245 tonight on Apple TV. Thank God. That's what everyone wants. Sam, on the way out the door, if I may pay you a compliment, I think I like your show and your baseball coverage because you, like me, are probably often told you're not built for 162. And
I'm not.
Yeah, but that's to me how you should. If you don't live with every single night, I don't know. When people say, "Well, you're not built for 162," I want to tell them, "Well, you're not built for a Tuesday night game against the Reds." Then, like that's I don't know. I appreciate your coverage in that way.
Well, and I appreciate it, and I mean I could talk to you all day, but the thing is here's the thing. Here's why I come off, I think, as pessimistic, and you guys. This is why it's so nice to be on the show because you guys are the subject. It's because of you. It's because of the Brewers. That like I don't sit here. People say, "Oh, well, it's a long year." It's like, well, is it? Like when people text me or message me or comment saying, "My gosh, it's so early, this and this," it's like, no, it's not, because we've been behind you guys since the start of the 2018 season, right? I mean, really, it started September of 18, but whatever. So it's like when people say, "Sam, you're not built for 162, it's this and this," it's like, no. If the Cubs won the division last year, or they found a way to steal Game 5 in Milwaukee, I'd be calm. I'd be in Aruba with my feet up on a Tuesday night. But we haven't proven that we could do it. So to me, like when Ian Happ comes on the radio and goes, "Hey, we don't even look at the standings until July," it's like, okay, well, maybe you should change that, because you haven't won anything.
Yeah.
Like, that's why I think I come off as, oh, Sam's always down or whatever. It's because of the Brewers. If we were in the division right now, if we were in the AL Central, I'd be going, listen, just see if we can get healthy. We'll make a run in September. We're better than these guys. But we're not better than you.
Sam Olbur, Locked On Cubs. Hey, come up to Milwaukee this weekend. A lot of Illinois plates I see. Summerfest going on.
No.
Brewers Cubs should be a good time.
Yeah, I don't want to watch my team get embarrassed. Thank you.
Have a good one, Sam. Appreciate the time.
All right. Thanks, Grant.
See ya.
This is the Wisco Sports Show with Grant Bills on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 3 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 2 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 1 minute. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 30 seconds.
Wisco Sports Show, welcome back. Went long with Sam Olbur, but worth it. One of my favorite folks to have on the show. Anytime the Brewers and the Cubs play, I'm going to try to connect with Sam, get him on. Not jacked up for the series. I guess, look, if my team's pitching situation was in the same spot and they'd been so hot and cold over the year, maybe I'd have lowered expectations too. Cubs are 6.5 back, but their offense is cooking. PCA is playing at a really high level. They're obviously not going to make a march on the division right now, but it's not July 1st yet. Not like 6.5 games is insurmountable. Going against Mizorowski, Harrison, and Woodruff is daunting. All right, so I'll give them that. But they knock a couple games off in Milwaukee this weekend. They'd have to find a way to do that. So yeah, sure, you wouldn't bet it. I mean, the Brewers, I looked it up. They're minus 245 tonight. So they're heavy favorites. But I don't know. If the Cubs clobber the Brewers, I'd be like, I feel a little uneasy. Turang, Yelich still don't look all that great. Feel a little uneasy. We've also been reacting to the situation with David Stearns, our old friend, over in Flushing. Flushing, or is it Flushings? Over there with the Mets. They fired their manager today. Here was Ken Rosenthal yesterday giving a defense, I guess, of David Stearns and saying, hey, Mets fans that want David Stearns fired, be careful what you wish for.
Certainly Stearns has had 2 years of poor decisions in many cases. Not all, many. And at the same time, Steve Cohen waited 2 years to get David Stearns. That was after having 3 GMs in 4 years or something like that, 4 and 3 years, whatever the case might be. They ran through people while waiting for David Stearns. It was 4 and 3 years. I don't expect Steve Cohen is going to be too quick to fire David Stearns when all the reasons he wanted him, the good things that happened in Milwaukee, still are not or still are part of his history. He has done a lot of good things in the past. He's a smart guy. He is relatively humble. Actually, I shouldn't even say relatively. He's humble. He gets it. He gets that they're failing, and he gets that it's on him. So do you fire that guy off a couple of bad years? Maybe you do. I know he's making $10 million a year through 2028. That's not something that's going to stop Steve Cohen. But the danger in firing a Stearns or any of the people on my list today is the sport is not exactly teeming with GM types, guys you can point to or women and say, man, I need to get him. Now, Armand has pointed to one, Brandon Gomes, but there aren't a lot of them. So be careful what you wish for in certain cases. Stearns might be the best guy who you can have with this organization. Certainly there's value to continuity. I know they've had a down year with their farm system in many ways, even with Ewing and Benj coming up, but he has put processes in place in player development that have been good for the Mets. So I'm not ready to give up on him yet. I didn't like a lot of what he did last offseason. I'll admit that, and I wrote it. But again, sometimes it's too quick to make a decision on executives who have a couple of bad years.
The part of that makes me most intrigued, or the part of that, and we talked a little bit about this yesterday, when you say, well, be careful what you wish for, it's not like the league is exactly teeming with options, general manager, executive types. It's like, okay, but I'm pretty sure that I could find an executive who could take $350 million in payroll and be 15 games below 500. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think there's another person out there who could do worse. I don't. Ken had a story out today at The Athletic where he went, to be fair, pretty hard at David Stearns. This story interests me just because it's one of the biggest flops I've seen recently in American professional sports. This much money spent. Ken Rosenthal writes, this is mostly on David Stearns, and everyone in baseball knows it. But after Wednesday night, the New York Mets endured a 6-error embarrassment. The need to change managers was obvious. The Mets finally and mercifully ended Carlos Mendoza's tenure on Friday morning, a super sad outcome for a skipper who was only 2 years ago held such promise. Mendoza still might end up succeeding as a big league manager, but it will be with another club. Mets malaise, a condition thought to be endemic to the Wilpon ownership, but has since extended into the Steve Cohen era, swallowed him whole. Mendoza certainly wasn't blameless, and Wednesday night's error fest, in which all 4 Mets infielders put on their own horrific spin on hitting the cycle, was effectively the last straw. Yet even the capper to the team's current 6-game losing streak, as much as it screamed fire the manager, was as much a reflection on Stearns as it was Mendoza. Stearns, the Mets president of baseball ops, ripped up his team last offseason, motivated more than anything, don't laugh, by a desire to improve the team's defense. The loss of free agent first baseman Pete Alonso, a homegrown Met, a popular success in New York and perfect right-handed complement to Juan Soto, might go down as the signature mistake of the Stearns era. And it was only fitting that at Citi Field amid the wreckage Wednesday night, fans took to chanting Alonso's name. Just an insane situation. I've never seen a team spend more. There are very few teams, regardless of payroll, that have ever looked this dysfunctional. Like, I don't know if the players like each other. The defense is bad. The vibes suck. They find a way to lose games. They would look bad independent of payroll. You know what I mean? They would be an embarrassment if their payroll was middling or even bottom third in baseball. It's the highest active payroll in baseball. The thing is it's misleading because the Dodgers have deferred all that money. It's incredible what David Stearns has built, or I guess what he hasn't built. And I thought he acquitted himself fine in the press conference today. You're not going to win that press conference. You can lose it. I don't think he lost it. I think he was composed. He appeared as human as he is capable of appearing, which is not very, because David Stearns is quite the robot. But I did watch that whole thing with great intrigue earlier today, kind of not really knowing what to expect. And I thought David Stearns actually presented well, but the New York media absolutely hammered him. I'll play you one more time. I'll give you the recap of the highlights when we come back from this break. It's a Fins Up Friday, and it's a free phones Friday, so call me on whatever you want. We're going to take a quick segment here to get back on track after a long opening segment with Sam. We'll be right back in a couple minutes with your phone calls at 608-321-1670.
This is the Wisco Sports Show with Grant Bills on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Shopping for new windows and doors shouldn't feel like a negotiation. Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin doesn't believe in games. They never inflate pricing, and there's no high-pressure sales pitch. Just premium windows and doors built for long-term comfort, beauty, and peace of mind. Buy direct through Pella, and one trusted team handles everything with Pella-certified installers every step of the way. Real pricing, premium quality, no games. Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin. Schedule your free in-home consultation today at PellaWI.com.
The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 5 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 4 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 3 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 2 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 1 minute. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 30 seconds.
I'll start on what is a very difficult day by thanking Carlos. Mendy gave everything he had to our organization for the last 2.5 years. He's an exceptionally talented leader. He's a really good baseball man. Above all else, he's an outstanding person. I enjoyed working with him, and I'm going to miss him. And I'm happy to take any questions.
David, you said you consider a partnership with Mendy. That said, have you considered stepping aside? Is that something you've thought about?
I have not.
And do you believe you have ownership support to continue this job?
Yes.
What makes you think that?
Steve and I are talking on a regular basis, and he certainly indicated that I have his support.
Why should fans have confidence in you, because you mentioned the team's current performance, to be able to help turn this around?
Yeah, I understand fan skepticism. If I were sitting in the fan seat, I would share that.
Given last year's collapse, the reconstruction of the roster, and the new coaching staff, do you personally feel that you put Carlos Mendoza in a position to succeed this season?
I think when you look at our record right now, this is not where we want to be.
I appreciate you said it's a organizational decision, but did Steve come to you to fire Mendy, or did you go to him?
I'm not going to get into the specifics of Steve and my conversations.
Do you second guess any of that when you hear fans chanting for Pete Alonso the other night? What did that feel like for you?
David, you said you're building the foundation of the organization and get it to where you want it to be long term. How do you juxtapose that with the most visible part of the organization being on pace for its worst season since 2003?
Just given the roster construction, you taking responsibility for it, do you feel like you have blind spots in this role, and do you think you'll look for a GM potentially to help that over the offseason in addition to the managerial search?
I think we are always evaluating how we can get better as a front office. That's inclusive of personnel additions, process modifications, and so I'm not going to close the door on anything.
I don't want to use the word preparation, but just what do you attribute some of these mistakes and mental mistakes you've been seeing on fields?
It's very difficult for all of us.
New York media having their way with David Stearns today. Got a text here, and please jump in. You want to talk baseball or whatever else. It's Free Phones Friday. 608-321-1670. Jay Krebs says, so it seems that Pat was really the brains behind Craig, and Matt Arnold was the real brains behind Stearns. And it's hilarious. So a lot of people say this about Pat Murphy. Well, maybe Pat Murphy was the guy all along. I think Pat Murphy throughout has probably been a very important figure. Craig is not someone I've been only in spring training. I was never at any regular season games with Craig. I've been in the clubhouse regular season when Murph is there, never with Craig. But if spring training is any indication, Craig is just kind of, I don't know that he's a guy. I don't know that he's one of the guys. I don't know that he brings a certain, just kind of there. And I think Murph, as his number 2, as his lieutenant, probably was in a position to connect with guys and to have their ear. But that's true in most clubhouses, or in a lot of, not just clubhouses, but in a lot of jobs. Like, are you closest with the president of your company, or are you closest with someone who ranks a little bit more closely to you? Right? Like that's how the hierarchy is supposed to work. Not that a manager can't be close with players, obviously, but it's a little bit easier for an assistant or for a number 2 or a number 3 to get down on the level of a player, to get down on the level of an employee, right? So I think Pat's probably always provided that. I think the Brewers were good with Craig, and I think they're good right now, first and foremost, because they have studs. I don't think they won in 2018 because Pat Murphy was pulling the strings behind Counsell. I think it's because Yelich was one of the best baseball players on planet Earth. Josh Hader was one of the best baseball players on planet Earth. They had a lot of off days in September, so they could be rested and they can get away with the rotation. And like, then as the Counsell era progressed, they had a 3-headed monster at the start of the rotation, and Josh Hader was there. And then they had a 3-headed monster, and Devin Williams was there. You know what I mean? And so, like, Counsell had horses, just like Pat Murphy has horses now. Pat Murphy's got horses, man. Churio's been a stud. Contreras has been a stud. Terang's gotten better. They always have good pitching. They've always had good back end of the bullpen. Like, a lot of managers could come to Milwaukee and be successful. Now, maybe Murphy is doing something a little bit more, doing something a little differently. Sure. But I don't think Pat Murphy is making magic where magic doesn't exist. I think he's managing the team differently than Counsell, but he's, like Counsell, managing a very talented team. Matt Arnold and David Stearns is an interesting one. I've talked to Brewers people about a couple of Stearns' moves, you know, specifically the Adames move, which I think was probably one of Stearns' better moves. I don't think he fleeced the Rays, though. The Rays got Rasmussen, and he's been awesome as a starter ever since. So that was a win-win for both sides. Ideally, you would want to win-lose, and I want my team to win. I want the other team to lose. But you know who knew Adames really well? Because he worked in Tampa with Adames, was Matt Arnold. You know, you don't think Matt Arnold played a pretty big role in that? So Matt Arnold is different from David Stearns, just like Pat Murphy's very different from Craig Counsell. Matt Arnold is much more of a prospect hugger. You'd think the way that people talk about the Brewers and the way people talk about them kind of retroactively, you know, with David Stearns, who then gave way to Matt Arnold as well. You know, they value their prospects. Their prospects. David Stearns traded prospects. You know, he traded away those guys in the Yelich deal. He spent the money on Kane. In 2018, they acquired Moustakas, you know, later in the year. In 2019, did they acquire, was that the Pomerantz year? You know, gave up Mauricio Dubon in that deal, who's in Atlanta now. I don't think he's anything special, but he's a nice player. I could be wrong. Maybe he's having an awesome year. I think he's just mostly just a good, solid player. Like David Stearns would part with prospects. Parted with Rasmussen down in Tampa because I think they probably didn't evaluate him out as a starter. If they thought that Rasmussen was going to be a 4 or 5 year starter, I doubt they would have done that deal. Or maybe, I don't know, Stearns was more aggressive than Arnold. Arnold and Stearns are very different. I think Counsell and Murph are different, but I look at their common success as a product of a lot of the players that they were managing. I think Arnold's a better GM. I think we have just as much evidence of David Stearns being a fine GM or even being a bad GM as we do of him being an elite GM. And I think some of the really good moves that were made in Milwaukee, you could circle and say, okay, well, what was Matt Arnold's influence on this? I value Matt Arnold as an improvement over David Stearns more than I do Murph over Counsell, because I mostly think most managers, I think Carlos Mendoza could come into Milwaukee and probably do a pretty good job and win a lot of games because they have horses, man. They have really good, talented players. I know Murph says, average Joes in 2019, not a lot of people knew the Brewers and didn't expect them, but they had really good players. Let's take a call here and then our final segment with little Jimmy Buffett, as it is a Fins Up Friday. 608-321-1670. Wisco Sports Show. Who's this?
Ridge Runner Mark, can you hear me now?
Yes, so much better today, Ridge Runner. Sorry about
fantastic.
yesterday.
Hey, technology, what do you do? So yesterday, my big point was I've always been disappointed when players leave a team that I think they could stay at, and I never understood it. Now I kind of understand it a little bit better. Giannis is a competitor, and competitors, unlike me, they're kind of wired a little bit different, and if he's really chasing something, he's willing to get out of his comfort zone, and we can all admit Milwaukee was his comfort zone. He didn't really want to leave, but he wanted another championship, so he felt it was necessary. Talking about the Brewers and, Murph, and, you know what? I had a thought about them, and I completely faced it. Sons of Biscuit.
Okay.
And we're talking about
Can I say, hey, can I follow up on your Giannis point, and maybe it'll come to you while I am talking?
Yeah.
Giannis was willing to leave his comfort zone. I think he probably would have been better served more decisively leaving his comfort zone. You know what I mean? Earlier with more command and with more direction, even if it got a little ugly. And also, if winning a championship, if that is his number one thing, Ridge Runner Mark, I would not have prioritized Miami. I would have tried to kick and scream and fight my way to Boston as hard as possible.
Yeah, because I don't know what Miami has left in the tank after they basically gave up half their team.
Yeah, I don't know that even if all these guys were still there, like, does Giannis and Bam with Jaquez and Yakashonis and Hero, like, is that a championship team? It's closer, but I don't even know that, if they didn't have to give up anything, I still don't know if they were, a top team in the East.
Right. I realized my Brewers point. So David Stearns, I wonder if he got out of his element because he had so much money to work with. And instead of being really focused on, I only have so much money, so I got to really get good players and good locker room guys, so to speak, and all this sort of stuff, that he kind of said, I got all this money, I might as well spend it, and kind of got out of what got him there in the first place.
Yeah.
And led to a whole bunch of mistakes. And, if you don't have the right manager that can kind of stir the drink, so to speak, you're going to turn into what the Mets are currently, which is a dumpster fire of a team that doesn't know how to play together.
So I like this. I like this framing. Appreciate it, Ridge Runner. I don't necessarily disagree with any of that. I think Stearns this offseason wanted to reset things. We don't want to be attached to Alonso moving forward. We don't want to be, they moved off some contracts that Stearns probably thought to be bad. The problem is then he gave out more bad contracts. And I think probably, at least in part, to him thinking, well, Steve Cohen's my boss. I can't not spend any money. They're going to barbecue me. So we'll move off of these bad contracts. We'll replenish our farm system. But then his mistake was, I'm the GM of the Mets. I got to go spend money. So then they go sign Polanco and Bichette, and it's like, okay, but if the idea was to get younger and better and cheaper and retool moving forward, then see that through. Don't get cold feet halfway through the process and spend the same amount of money on players that aren't as good. Last couple minutes of the show coming up. Plus, we'll listen to a little Jimmy Buffett. We'll be right back.
This is the Wisco Sports Show with Grant Bills on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Network.
The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 3 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 2 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 1 minute. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 30 seconds.
Not only going out to Wisconsin and the great Midwest, we're going around the world tonight, Parrot Head.
Final set. Where'd my music go? Damn it. There we go. Final segment. Sorry, that was very un-Margaritaville-like of me. It's the final segment. The Wisco Sports Show. Fins up. It's Friday. This is setting up to be a pretty exceptional weekend. Going into a short week next week, 4th of July. It's finally going to feel like summer. And Brewers, Cubs, Mizorowski, Harrison, and Woodruff, please. This would be a great time for the bats to get going. Yelich, I look forward to the 1 home run he will hit this weekend. You can go down to Pato. You can bet that. Tell him I sent you. And Bill Michaels, because they actually sponsor his show. But tell him, you know what? Grant and Bill sent you down to Pato. Go bet that Christian Yelich anytime home run. Tonight, tomorrow, Sunday, it'll hit. It really better happen. I've been really cocky about that. Summerfest tonight, if anyone's gonna be down there, be kicking around. I want to go see Marcus King. I'm gonna get there late though, so I'm gonna be in the back. It'll be more of a listening experience than a watching experience. That's okay though. Look forward to that. I think the Giannis fallout should probably be just about done. We got the Jimmo story today. We got a Jamal Collier story. Ramona Shelburne, not as much in there. Still a tidbit. The Drew Holiday thing was interesting. The timeline, getting reinforced was nice. And of course, ESPN did that because a lot of that was their original reporting with their analysts. So they're well within their right to kind of reinforce like, hey, we told you. Bucks fans didn't listen. I get it. They do. Enjoy the weekend. Enjoy Brewers Cubs. Hopefully they, I don't know. I do not want to be talking about a series loss on Monday. So another sweep would be great, please. Would that be too much to ask for? Just never losing a game to the Chicago Cubs? I'd certainly like that to be the case. Have a great weekend. Be back at Monday at 4. Be back at Monday. Whatever. It's the weekend. Talk to you later. Thanks for listening.